There it is. With that, the United Auto Workers are officially on strike. The union reposted this video on social media showing workers walking out at midnight in Toledo. This is one of 3 main plants where thousands of auto workers are expected to walk out today. They're calling this a surgical strike. The others are in Missouri and Michigan. Now, Kentuckiana could feel the impact soon. We've got Jim Stratman joining us live with how the UAW chapter is preparing a strike. So we mentioned, Jim, this is a surgical kind of strike. That means it's starting in some places. It's not all the way across the board right now.
Exactly, Eric, and that's why we're not seeing workers out on the picket lines just yet here in Louisville. There is every chance that we could see that in the next number of hours later on today, or it may come later on next week. We really don't know at this point. But we do know that from talking to some workers here in Louisville, the hope is it doesn't come to that. The hope is that a contract is struck between the 2 parties and they don't have to go on strike, but they are ready to do that if the need arises. Now, the UAW is working on these negotiations, asking the automakers for some concessions, things like higher wages, cost of living adjustments, and more paid time off. Now, if the demands aren't met soon and it comes to the point of a walkout, leadership has already put a plan in place for 6 4-hour shifts of picketing a day, 7 days a week. Those will be at 4 of the gates out at Louisville's assembly plant and 9 gates out at Kentucky's truck plant. Now, we had a chance to catch up with some local auto workers who told us very clearly they hope that this first wave of walkouts does the trick when it comes to these negotiations. One of those workers, Ronald Larden, who told us he loves working at the plant and he's confident that a deal will get done. It's just a matter of when.
Rent is high. Food prices are going up, so people are trying to do their very best. They want what's best for their families, and they want what's right.
Local chapter officials say they have lights, generators, food all ready to go if they do get that call that they're next to come to the picket lines, but they also feel strongly that if a contract is signed, it could be the most lucrative contract that auto workers have ever seen. So we will continue to wait and watch today to see if that call comes in. We can already see that the first punch has been landed in this fight. Now it's just a matter of whether or not that punch at midnight was a knockout or if we're in for a 10-round brawl. Eric?
Good point there. Is it a blow or is it a brawl? Jim, thanks very much. When it comes to pay, based on their latest reports, Ford and GM are currently proposing a 20% raise over the course of a 4-year contract. Stellantis is offering 17.5%. Both differ from what the union is requesting, which is really double that amount. 20% up front plus an additional 5% every year of the contract. The UAW says it based that 40% on the increase of pay for CEOs over the last 4 years. Ford's CEO called the demands unaffordable. There's a lot more to come on this story. You can keep track of it all, the ongoing negotiations, the strike timeline for Louisville auto workers, by sticking with WHAS11.com and our news app. 5 after the hour, more local news for you. A downtown restaurant is shut down until further notice as it recovers from a devastating fire. This is the fire that we first told you about as breaking news yesterday morning. Osaka is the restaurant that's on the first floor of the building on West Market Street, where Louisville fire officials say the fire broke out late Wednesday night. Now, the other floors of that building are vacant. The fire department says 1 firefighter was hurt when a brick wall collapsed, but they are expected to be okay. Arson investigators are working to determine the cause of the fire with some help from the ATF. The owner of Salad Chick, which is a restaurant next door to Osaka, says its store is also closed now because it's dealing with water damage. The sports bar, The Groove, does plan to reopen today. A hero's reception in Jeffersontown for LMPD officer Nick Wilt. He served as Grand Marshal at last night's Gaslight Festival parade. Wilt is continuing his recovery after being shot in his head while responding to the mass shooting at Old National Bank back in April. Wilt waved to people who lined the streets just to thank him for his service. The president of J-Town's Chamber of Commerce says this year's parade was extra special because of Officer Wilt's involvement.
We can't wait to see them. We want to show them our support and our love, and that the J-Town community has been and is behind them.
And thank God he's out of the hospital and he's with his family. and God bless him and his family.
Yet Old National Bank required the help of dozens of first responders, many of whom have not been publicly recognized. WHAS11's Connor Steffen shows us how the city is looking to change that.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
We sleep well at night because there are people like you all who answer the phone when all hell breaks loose.
Every day it still sticks with me. I fight my own demons since April 10th.
At Old National Bank, televising on a video meeting that there's an active shooter inside the building.
I don't want to make this more confusing, but in some ways it feels like it happened years ago, and in some ways it feels like it happened yesterday.
The day a gunman opened fire inside Old National Bank, killing 5 and injuring 8 others, is one LMPD detective Jay Moss remembers well.
As we were walking towards the bank, shots rang out. I saw Officer Wilt at the top of the steps.
With the help of fellow officers threatened by a barrage of gunfire, he placed Officer Nick Wilt in a car, taking him to the hospital and ultimately saving his life.
That's what the doctors say. Yes.
You don't say that, though?
I'm a little, at this point in time, yes, I do. I didn't believe that at first. I was just doing what I hoped somebody would do for me.
So I've told them, you have to accept the recognition when it comes because they deserve it. But yeah, it does make them super uncomfortable because they're just very humble.
Detective Moss is one of the many frontline workers to respond that day. And still in the days since, countless more put on their uniform and run into harm's way.
We appreciate the people that you are, the people that you represent, and the person in you that gets up every day and puts on that uniform and proudly represent us.
Connor Steffen, WHAS11, on your side.
And following the mass shooting, Old National Bank donated more than $1 million to help survivors. Those funds were split between those affected, the Louisville Metro Police Foundation, the Louisville Hospital Trauma Center, and the American Red Cross. So school is out today for Woodland Elementary in Hardin County. The district said it's cause of major work underway on the school's heating and air conditioning systems. After an inspection late last night, an engineer recommended there be no school today because of that. The district closure is out of an abundance of caution.